part. Tatted on my face, it's my down with the real niggas in your town, Go fuck on my nigga. Hear the bitch how I bow down, it's the black part. Tatted on my face, it's banging all around. So bow down with the real niggas in your town, If the street you prepare where it takes you. Some situations can make you or break you. But fuck that shit, I'm a nigga for life. The day I got patched up, real niggas for life, Show black, I see little. Sometimes rise, sometimes 40s, hard times I live little. Love places gotta make placed up. Nigga makes me pay chasing every day. Life flags is everything, but it's okay, I'm still here. Vegas, Grand Hood, NFL, we throw it up. We young niggas rising up. Patch members, show fuck my black cars, we stay staunch. Through the storm and through the war. Niggas for life, niggas support. See them up, we kill them all. Take this patch, Moreno, don't fuck the hotel. Representing everything, bow down the town. Wait, in your town, loud and proud. Show black, we found out. Show black, we found out. No fuck, I'm a motherfucking nigga. Hear the bitch how bow down, this the black part. Tatted on my face, it's banging all around. So bow down with the real niggas in your town, No fuck, I'm a nigga. Hear the bitch how bow down, this the black part. Tatted on my face, it's banging all around. So bow down with the real niggas in your town, BPAT is what you see, and what you see is what you get, and what you get is chin check. When you come and run away, you gon' feel the full effect of a crazy ass nigga run my blade across your neck. Angel shit real quick, I hold it down for the fist. This black crown motherfucker, we be up with this bitch. Yeah, you see us on the hustle, we be trying to get rich. It's this game to the death, know that I never switch. I'm 18, nigga, never taking it lightly. Fucking must think they mighty, but none of them wanna fight me. You don't believe me, come try me, your fucking ass will be dying. See your mama, she crying, but she kiss you goodbye. And I stay real, nigga. I live and die for the black, I live and die for the past. I'm spitting rhymes to the facts. Now I think you get the message, so there might be a rap. This paper chasing nigga makes this nigga life's where it's at. No front, I'm a motherfucking nigga. Hear the sound, down, just the black part. Tatted on my face, it's banging all around. So bow down with the real niggas in your town, No fuck, I'm a nigga. Hear the sound, down, just the black part. Tatted on my face, it's banging all around. So bow down with the real niggas in your town, We the blacks, so be careful what you say to us. Repercussions is a must if you fuck with us. Waiting for the glow, it's that real black part, hear the beautiful.
Fuck. You know what? I wanted to light my spliff to that.
No fuck, I'm a motherfucking nigga. Hear the rich how bow down, this the black part. Tatted on my face, so bow down with the real niggas in your town, No fuck, I'm a nigga. Hear the rich how bow down, this the black part. Tatted on my face, it's banging all around. So bow down with the real niggas in your town, If the street you prepare where it takes you. Some situations can make you or break you. But fuck that shit, I'm a nigga for life. The day I got patched up, real niggas for life, Show black, I see little. Sometimes rise, sometimes 40s, hard times I live little. Love places gotta make placed up. Nigga makes me pay chasing every day. Life flags is everything, but it's okay, I'm still here. Vegas, Grand Hood, NFL, we throw it up. We young niggas rising up. Patch members, show fuck my black cars, we stay staunch. Through the storm and through the war. Niggas for life, niggas support. See them up, we kill them all. Take this patch, Moreno, don't fuck the hotel. Everything, bow down the town. Wait, in your town, loud and proud. Show black, we found out. Show black, we found out. No fuck, I'm a motherfucking nigga. Hear the bitch how bow down, this the black part. Tatted on my face, it's banging all around. So bow down with the real niggas in your town, No fuck, I'm a nigga. Hear the bitch how bow down, this the black part. Tatted on my face, it's banging all around. So bow down with the real niggas in your town, BPAT is what you see, and what you see is what you get, and what you get is chin check. When you come and run away, you gon' feel the full effect of a crazy ass nigga run my blade across your neck real quick. I hold it down for the fist. This black crown motherfucker, we be up in this bitch. Yeah, you see us on the hustle, we be trying to get rich. It's this game to the death, know that
that I never switch. I'm 18, nigga. Never taking it lightly. Fucking must think they mighty, but none of them wanna fight me. You don't believe me? Come try me. Your fucking ass will be dying. See your mama, she crying, but she kiss you goodbye. And I stay real, nigga. I live and die for the black. I live and die for the past. I'm spitting rhymes to the facts. Now I think you get the message, so there might be a rap. This paper chasing nigga makes this nigga life where it's at.
No front, motherfucking nigga. Every sound, down, it's the black club. Kept it on my face, spanking all around. Fell down on the real niggas in the town, No front, on the nigga. Every sound, down, it's the black club. Kept it on my face, spanking all around. Fell down on the real niggas in the town, We the blacks, so be careful what you say to us. Repercussions is a must if you fuck with us. Got some foul niggas, killers waiting for the club. It's that real black club, here to kill you all.
Location. Oh boy. Do you have any idea how much money this company loses every time the server goes down?
As a matter of fact...
Who do these people think I am? Some kind of tech head ninja code writing cloud hosting guru?
Actually, that sounds exactly like us.
I'm the president.
Server just crashed again.
I don't have time for this.
That's okay, because we do. We're Apps on Net.
Apps on what?
Apps on Net. And we're it when it comes to managed IT services for small to medium-sized business.
Go on.
Endpoint support, network security, proactive maintenance.
Cloud hosting?
100%.
Guaranteed?
Guaranteed.
Sold.
Get the relief you need with IT support from Apps on Net. Visit us online at allgainnopain.ca or call 1-855-255-4667. That's 1-855-ALL-G-NO-P.
680 News Time, 1:21. Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Checking your drive this Friday morning. Tim Chapman. This report brought to you by Seneca. So all in all, pretty uneventful drive early this morning. I'm not seeing any major volume concerns on most of your major routes. It's a pretty uneventful drive, which is some good news. Some things just to note here. Eastbound 401, not accessible from Mavis or Broad Street. Through Kipling in the Express, it's one right lane under construction. 400 in the Express, the two right lanes. Victoria Park in the Collectors, two left lanes affected by construction, and at Morningside it's two left lanes as well. Northbound 400 at Highway 7 in the Collectors, all lanes are closed for construction. Southbound 400 at Langstaff in the Collectors, all lanes are closed for construction as well. Langstaff ramps to the southbound 400 are closed, and the westbound Highway 7 ramps to the southbound 400 is closed as well. There's a bit of construction on the southbound 427 around Burnhamthorpe in the Express, just off to the right side. It's not accessible from westbound Finch, and at Finch, just one right lane, and at Derry, it's the HOV lane that's under construction as well. Seneca students do the hard work and have the relentless commitment to take anything on, take the next step, and join the Seneca Proud. Challenge accepted. Your sports at 1:31. Now the forecast. Here's Adam Stiles.
Gray Friday on the way with a high temperature today of -1. Winds are going to be fairly light, so not much in the wind chill department, -3 to -8. Looks like it'll be a southeast wind up to about 15 kilometers per hour. A couple of flurries possible throughout the overnight. Down to -5 and a mainly cloudy sky tomorrow. The wind does pick up out of the southwest up to 40 kilometers per hour. We'll hit a high temperature of +1. Chance for some snow showers overnight Saturday into Sunday, where it could just be a trace to maybe a centimeter of accumulation here in the GTA. A cloudy sky expected during the day on Sunday, wind shifting to the northwest. We'll still manage a daytime high of 3 degrees. Today, it's a high temperature of -1 in the forecast with a cloudy afternoon.
Right now in downtown Toronto, it's overcast and -3. It feels like -8 at Pearson Airport. Very similar conditions with a wind chill of -9. Don't forget, 680 News is the only radio station in Toronto with a weather guarantee. Our jackpot is now $14,000.
It was a rainy day when Pizzaville decided to stone bake our pizzas.
You gotta find a way to fuck the weather up.
That was over 50 years ago.
jackpot.
Since then, the big pizza conglomerate started cooking their pizzas on conveyor belts, like you see at the airport. Now you can choose authentic Italian stone-baked pizza or pizza you could mistake for luggage.
Pizzaville stone-baked pizza. Fiercely Canadian. Authentically Italian.
Coming up at 1:30, we'll have the very latest on the spread of the Wuhan coronavirus, which has now been declared a global health emergency. Our Phil Martino will have more from the WHO, while Cormac McSweeney is on Parliament Hill, checking in on the federal government's response. And our Caitlin Lee will have more on a possible light at the end of the tunnel for Ontario's Catholic school teachers in their ongoing negotiations with the province.
Yeah, the province is going to close all the schools, board them up, and tell you to go fuck yourself.
This is 680 News.
Want to catch a sci-fi classic like you've probably never seen it before? Now I'm fired up. Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey will be screening all weekend on the IMAX screen at the Cinesphere. If you're like me,
now we're going to Die Hard.
The 1968 classic follows a voyage to Jupiter with a sentient computer named HAL. You've probably seen parodies of it before, after the discovery of a featureless alien monolith affecting human evolution. The film deals with themes of existentialism, human evolution, technology, AI, and even the possibility of extraterrestrial life. It also answers the question, where have I heard this song before? Considering it's 7:30 p.m.
Canada for us too.
At 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. It's happening at the Cinesphere at Ontario Place. Your business report is 1 minute away. 680 News Time, 1:25.
You're catering a wedding, and the bride says,
Everyone is raving about the hors d'oeuvres. My aunt was asking if you do corporate events.
You look out across all those guests. Your smile beams, your heart pounds. This is the moment when the right business card is essential, and Vistaprint can help. Right now, we're introducing free shipping on all business cards in any quantity. So now imagine that same wedding, but this time you're ready to own the now with a stack of business cards that are as enticing as your entrees. And Vistaprint caters to any small business. You choose the paper, the shape, and the finish. Go with a square card, or maybe one with rounded corners and a metallic finish.
Yeah, make it
Whatever your
different so it
style,
stands
create a
out, so
card
they got
that
more
gives
of a
you the
reason to
confidence
fucking
to
throw
make
the
the most
thing away.
of every opportunity. Because either you let things happen, or you make things happen. Start now at Vistaprint.ca and get free shipping on all business cards in any quantity. Use promo code 6262 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.ca. Promo code 6262. Limited time only.
680 News Time, 1:26. Time for the business report. Here is Carl Garnish.
Good morning. Investors are waiting for fourth quarter results from Imperial Oil today. According to Bloomberg Intelligence, Alberta's government eased production cuts in late November, driving the spread between heavy Canadian oil and West Texas Intermediate to more than $22 a barrel. And analysts say that enabled rail economics and should boost Imperial's volume into the first quarter. On base, shares of Imperial Oil fell 1.4% in Thursday trading. It was a mixed finish for North American markets. The TSX was lower for the first time in 3 days, down by 21 points to 17,490. On Wall Street, it was a 3-day rally for the Dow and NASDAQ. Dow rose 124 points, 28,859. NASDAQ gaining 23 points, 9,298, while the S&P added 10 to 3,283. Now time for the Express Gold Refining XAU.ca gold price update. It rose 0.8%, finishing at 1,589. Oil dropped to its lowest level since early August, down by 2.2%, closing at $52.14 a barrel. Canadian crude index lower by 3.7% to finish above $33 a barrel. Canadian dollar lost 0.06 of a cent, closing at 75.71 cents U.S. Economists are watching for November GDP data for Canada, and earnings are expected from Caterpillar and Chevron. With more on what's to come, here's Bloomberg's Larry Kofsky.
Lots of us were signing up for Amazon Prime over the holidays, probably to get those presents shipped quickly for free. After the bell, Amazon said the number of Prime memberships soared by 32%. That sent Amazon shares soaring, sending Amazon's market value to more than $1 trillion. Looks like we've been giving our Visa cards a workout. Last night, the company said it handled more than 49 billion transactions in the fourth quarter, a jump of 11%. But investors are worried about how much Visa is spending on incentives and promotions. Today,
worried about how much Visa is spending. Are you fucking serious?
6 o'clock tonight, Eastern Time. Larry Kofsky.
I think that's a sign the economy might be fucked. Visa is
Did you
spending
miss
too much
filing your
money.
taxes? Did you let 1 year turn into many? Boxes of paper, lost documents, disorganized, confused. Don't know where to start? What to do next? We do. Call Mark Feldstein Chartered Professional Accountants. We deal with this every day. It's never too late. Start sleeping at night. Call Mark Feldstein Chartered Professional Accountants now at pound tax. That's the pound sign tax. Or visit markfeldstein.ca.
It's Go Transit's announcement system here to remind you that kids 12 and under can ride the Go for free. So kids can travel to the Royal Ontario Museum and learn about how baby turtles get to open water. I hate water. Oh no, what a tragic coincidence. Someone spilled some. It's coming towards me. Remember my last words? Discover more at gotransit.com/kidsgofree. Quick, someone put me in some rice before.
It's time for the 680 News Business Travelers Forecast, brought to you by IA Clarington Investments, where we believe in the value of active management to navigate today's complex markets. Visit iaclarington.com.
In Vancouver today, expect some rain, a high of 9 degrees. Winnipeg, mostly cloudy, -3. Montreal, overcast and -7. Right now in downtown Toronto, it is overcast, -3, feeling like -8. 680 News Time, 1:30.
Vancouver. If I go to Vancouver, I will remember. It might rain today. I'm going to message all my Vancouver people and tell them, look out, it might rain today.
Good morning. This is Friday, January the 31st. I'm Eden Baba.
And I'm Asher Roth. Here's what's making news right now.
The World Health Organization has declared a global health emergency with the coronavirus, but the main reason is not because of what is happening in China.
The federal health minister says this emergency declaration will not really affect Canada's approach to the coronavirus. It comes as the government tries to help 196 Canadians leave the epicenter in China.
A handful of teachers fire back at the province.
It's quite frankly insulting and just not true.
Upset at suggestions they're being bullied by their unions. Two Latina superstars will be dominating the Super Bowl halftime show this Sunday.
The Raptors continue their winning ways in Cleveland, while Kyle Lowry's an NBA All-Star yet again. Sports at 45.
Brexit awaits. The UK is set to leave the European Union today. Caterpillar, Chevron, and Imperial Oil are expected to release earnings as Bay and Wall Street come off a mixed session.
680 News Time, 1:31.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Tim Chapman.
All in all, a pretty uneventful drive early this morning, and nothing that's really going to slow you down or stop you from getting to where you're going, that is. Eastbound on the 401, however, it's not accessible from Mavis, and in Kipling in the Express, 1 right lane's under construction. 400 in the Express, it's the 2 right lanes, and at Victoria Park in the Collectors, it's the 2 left lanes. Morningside, 2 left lanes under construction at Broad Street. It's 1 right lane there, then the highway not accessible from Broad Street either. Northbound 400 ramp to eastbound Innisfil Beach Road, as far as I know, is still closed for a earlier collision investigation.
Hey, hold up.
Innisfil Beach Road itself is closed from 400 to the 10th side road as well. Both Highway 7 ramps to the northbound 400 not an option, and northbound 400 at Highway 7 in the Collectors. All lanes are closed for construction. Southbound 400 at Langstaff in the Collectors, all lanes are closed for construction there as well. Both Langstaff ramps to the southbound 400 not an option, and you can't get onto the highway in that direction from westbound Highway 7. Find a bit of construction southbound 427 through Burnapthorpe in the Express, and you won't be able to get on from westbound Finch and through Finch, 1 right lane affected by construction, and at Barrie, the HOV lanes not accessible due to construction as well. Next report's at 1:41. Now the forecast, here's Adam Stiles.
Quiet way to wrap up the work week. Looks like a cloudy sky and a high temperature of -1 in the forecast, and wind that's going to be fairly light. Looks about 5 to 15 kilometers per hour coming in off the lake. Not enough to generate any lake effect snow, and not really enough to mention wind chill, I guess. -3 to -8 during the day. Looks like it'll be a cloudy sky for most of the afternoon. Today, your high near -1.
Right now downtown, it's overcast and -3, and at Pearson Airport, same conditions. 680 News Time, 1:33.
The World Health Organization has officially declared the spread of the coronavirus a global health emergency. The news comes as Chinese officials report over 200 deaths in the country and over 9,000 confirmed cases of the illness.
9,000, so we're like this close to 10,000
may surprise you.
The Director General of the WHO claims the main reason for the global health emergency declaration is not because of what is happening in China. It's because their greatest concern is the potential for the virus to spread to countries with weaker health systems, which are ill-prepared to deal with it.
We don't know
So why didn't you declare this sooner?
this virus could do
if
Make
it
shit
were to
happen.
spread in a country with a weaker health system.
With a global health emergency, the WHO issues temporary recommendations. These are measures that address things like travel, trade, and treatment. Now, the U.S. State Department is advising against all travel to China due to the virus outbreak. The WHO says 99% of the cases are in China, and there are no deaths outside that country. I'm Phil Martino.
The World Health Organization's declaration seems to have pushed the U.S. State Department to increase its travel advisory for China to its highest level, advising against all travel to the country. But as 680's Cormac McSweeney reports, the official status of the coronavirus won't really impact the Trudeau government's approach to the outbreak.
Despite a global health emergency being declared, Canada's protocols around the coronavirus will be status quo.
So we are fully in line with the recommendations.
Health Minister Patty Hajdu says our health systems, preventative measures, and research activities are in full compliance. Meanwhile, there are now 196 Canadians requesting help to leave Wuhan, China, the lockdown epicenter of this outbreak. The government has secured a plane, but it's not clear when it will leave, what the screening process will be, and if these passengers will be quarantined when they return.
At no time would we take any measures that would put the health of Canadians
You should send a plane and then fly them to some other fucking place. Fly them like the fucking Arctic Circle or something.
We have strong measures in place at airports. We have strong measures in place in all of our health centers and hospitals.
There are only 3 confirmed cases in Canada. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament.
They all
680 News
somehow
Time,
got through the
135.
system.
Even with Ontario's English Catholic Elementary Teachers Union going back to the bargaining table Monday, you should still prepare for walkouts in Peel Region and Hamilton today and across the province next week. 680's Caitlin Lee gives us a breakdown on which boards are striking and when.
And those 3 people got infected
walkout
right at
is
the
still
beginning
planned
somehow.
for English Catholic school teachers February 4th, but Electa has announced talks will be rebooted beginning Monday. There's also a province-wide walkout planned for the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario February 6th. The good news is both the Education Minister
Tuesday,
and
Friday.
ETFO's president agree that those talks that restarted
I've got a week
after a
to figure this
6-week
out.
break have been going well.
We are having productive discussions with ETFO. The objective of the government is to get a deal.
The bad news, Ontario's Secondary School Teachers Federation President Harvey Bischoff says they have not been called back to the bargaining table.
They continue to insist on reducing the number of teachers, classes being taught.
I'm Caitlin Lee.
This is 680 News at 1:36. Toronto police have arrested 3 teens in connection with a series of violent robberies in the GTA. Police say between January 14th and the 27th, a group of boys robbed 4 banks and 3 retail stores in Toronto, York, and Halton regions. In each robbery, police say the boys wore disguises and threatened employees with a knife or a gun. On Monday, officers arrested 3 suspects during a bank robbery near Weston and Eglinton. A 16-year-old boy from Toronto, a 15-year-old boy from St. Catharines, and a 15-year-old boy from Ajax all face robbery charges.
But they
Investigators
even
are
know each
working
other.
to figure out if the teens are linked to other robberies in the GTA.
Oh, they
680
reach
News Time
you.
137. China's foreign ministry says it will send charter flights to bring home residents of the virus-afflicted region from overseas. The one-sentence statement gave few details, but said those from Hubei province and its capital of Wuhan would be sent directly back. Although most of the overseas cases have been found among people who traveled from the Chinese region, doctors say they're concerned about person-to-person transmission.
Here at home, the last 2 Air Canada flights from mainland China arrived at Pearson Airport after the airline announced the suspension of all direct flights until the end of February. Janela Massa of City News was there
what
and
about all
spoke
the
to
other
some of the
airlines?
passengers about the experience.
Veronica Kai made it home just under the wire, boarding the last direct Air Canada flight from Shanghai to Toronto after visiting family for Chinese New Year. She says most of the passengers on her 12-hour flight wore masks on board, and she was questioned upon landing at Pearson, but wonders if that's enough.
Were the signs in Chinese or not?
Temperature. Additional screening questions are in place to identify travelers who visited Hubei province, and those experiencing flu-like symptoms are referred to public health staff. This Canadian says she's not too worried given the precautions being taken in China.
The government is really doing a lot of things, like a really, really good thing to control and to make this thing, work out.
Janela Massa, City News.
680 News Time 138. Singers Jennifer Lopez and Shakira are promising an empowering concert at the Super Bowl halftime show Sunday.
Still to come on 680
Oh, that was
News,
funny,
gas
but
price
you didn't hear
update
it because
followed
you
by
were playing
traffic and
music
weather
at the same
together on
time.
the
I had
ones.
to turn it off.
680 News Time 139.
Hello, Loblaws shoppers, specifically Paul, who's planning a party for the big game. I'm your snack coach, Paul, here to make sure your party food is on point.
Okay.
Rush to the hot counter, tackle a bucket of 36 chicken wings and potato wedges, a 2-liter Pepsi beverage, and select varieties of Ruffles, Doritos, or Tostitos snacks, and earn 3,500 PC Optimum points.
Touchdown. Oh, wait. Spicy or mild?
Just get the wings, Paul. Conditions apply. Offer valid until February 5th, 2020, only at participating Loblaws locations. Food lovers unite.
Now the 680 News gas price update. Empro says the price of gas rose 1 cent at midnight to $1.10.9 a liter at most GTA stations. 680 News Time 140.
I'm Kerry Schmidt with the Ontario Provincial Police. OPP officers respond to collisions on our roads every day. Most of these collisions can be prevented, especially the ones involving alcohol. You can help to keep our roads safe by always having a plan for a safe ride home. Have a designated driver, take a cab, stay overnight, or use public transit. And you can report a suspected impaired driver by calling 911.
A message from Arrive Alive Drive Sober and Operation Lookout.
Your home.
It's your coffee shop, your family diner, your romantic bistro, and your wine bar. At Tesco Appliances, we understand the many roles your kitchen plays and the contribution that each appliance makes to it. Do your kitchen a favor and don't make an investment until you talk to a knowledgeable Tesco Pro. Right now, save up to 35% when you purchase select appliances from Monogram.
Come say hello. Tesco Pro at Tesco.
Visit TescoAppliance.ca.
680 News Time 141. Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Tim Chapman.
All in all, a pretty volume-free drive early this morning. I'm not seeing any major concerns. You should get to where you're going just fine. Just a few things to note here. Eastbound 401 not accessible from Mavis or Brock Street. And at Kipling in the Express, 1 right lane's under construction. At 400 in the Express, it's the 2 right lanes. Once you get through to Victoria Park and the Collectors, the 2 left lanes affected by some road work. It's the same thing at Morningside as well. And just a touch of road work through Brock Street. Northbound 400, that ramp to eastbound Innisfil Beach Road is closed. And as far as I know, Innisfil Beach Road itself is closed from 400 to the 10th.
As far as you know, you're putting doubt in my head. I'm trying to drive, right?
At Highway 7 and the Collectors, all lanes are closed for construction. And southbound 400 at Langstaff and the Collectors, all lanes are closed for construction there as well. Both Langstaff ramps to the southbound 400 not an option either. Southbound 427 through Burnham-Thorpe in the Express, you find a bit of road work there, but nothing major. You're not going to be able to get on the highway going that direction from westbound Finch. And at Finch, one of the right lanes is under construction. And at Derry, the HOV lane's under construction and not accessible. Next report's at 1:51. Now the forecast, here's Adam Stiles.
It's a cloudy day to wrap up the work week. Looks like a high temperature today of -1 in the forecast. Will be fairly gray. Winds are going to be fairly light. Out of the southeast up to 15 kilometers per hour is about it. So looks like we'll see wind chill not being much of a factor. Overnight temperatures down to -5. The cloud cover lingers. We could see a few scattered flurries. During the day tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud with a high temperature of +1. Chance for a couple of evening snow showers, but accumulation minimal here in the GTA. Winds shift to the southwest and they pick up. It could gust as high as 40 kilometers per hour. Today, it's a light wind and a high temperature of -1.
Right now in downtown Toronto, -3 degrees, but feeling like -8 with the wind. And over at Pearson Airport, similar conditions, -3, but feeling more like -9. This is 680 News. Environmental Minister Jonathan Wilkinson says a national ban on many single-use plastics is still on track for next year.
Wilkinson says a scientific review of plastic pollution proves there is more than enough evidence that plastic is harming the environment. The assessment says in 2016, more than 29,000 tons of plastic ended up in places it shouldn't. Birds, fish, and other animals are ingesting the plastic, and it is making them sick. Wilkinson says the report is the first step towards banning single-use plastics like straws, grocery bags, and styrofoam containers. He says the specific list of items to be banned will be ready in the next few months. Mia Rabson, The Canadian Press, Ottawa.
Still to come on 680 News, the wildfires in Australia have activists concerned about an overlooked side effect to the planet. 680 News Time 143.
It's been so long since I've been to a party, but the sitter's waiting. I can't drink like I used to, and I probably shouldn't drive. But I don't know anyone who can give me a ride. Maybe if I drive slow? Safety concerns discourage women who have been drinking from taking a ride with someone they don't know. You leaving, Kate?
My sister's picking me up. We could take you home. Drunk driving is a woman's issue, too. Learn how to reduce the risk at changetheconversation.ca.
A house is only as strong as its foundation, and windows are only as good as their frame. Hi, I'm Tom Rokiki of Inline Fiberglass. The facts prove it. Fiberglass window frames are 8 times stronger than vinyl and a far more durable material. That's part of the reason why we change thousands of vinyl windows every year, and some windows aren't even 10 years old. Choose the windows that are energy efficient and
you
built
said
to
that
last.
like it was a long
Visit us
time.
at our Factory Direct showroom or at inlinefiberglass.com.
This is All News Radio, 680 News.
Overcast and -3 degrees in downtown Toronto. Good morning. The 680 News Broadcast Center, I'm Eugene DeBetta, and here are the top stories this hour. The World Health Organization has declared a global state of emergency as cases of the coronavirus continue to spike both in Canada and around the world. There are over 9,000 cases in China and 100 confirmed cases abroad. Here at home, the Trudeau government says Canada won't be making any major changes to their approach to the coronavirus, even with the emergency declaration from the WHO. And coming up after sports, the latest financial report from the Ford government isn't looking too good for one specific item. It's 680 News Time, 1:45. Now 680 Sports with Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Here's Josh Goldberg.
The Raptors continued their winning ways as they edged the Cavaliers 115-109 in Cleveland for their 9th straight victory and 8th in a row on the road, which is the second longest streak in franchise history. It was a big game for Serge Ibaka as he led the way with 26 points on a blistering 10 for 14 shooting. It was also an all-around good night for Kyle Lowry as he had 23 points and 5 assists on the court, and was also named as an Eastern Conference reserve for next month's All-Star game in Chicago, and was humbled about the honor.
It's always special to be an All-Star. I'm always humbled. I'm always honored to be able to step in front of these great fans and the coaches to show the respect that they have for me.
Rounding out the Eastern reserves are Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler of the Heat, the Celtics' Jason Tatum, Indiana's Domantas Sabonis, Chris Middleton of the Bucks, and the 76ers' Ben Simmons. To hockey, where a pair of Atlantic Division rivals squared off in Buffalo, desperately looking to make up ground in the playoff picture. And the Montreal Canadiens were able to get past the Buffalo Sabres 3-1 thanks to a couple of quick second-period goals from Ilya Kovalchuk and Brendan Gallagher. Sports at 15 and 45 pass every hour, or anytime at sportsnet.ca/590.
680 News Time, 1:47.
License 10349. It's a slap in the face. Your bank refused your mortgage. Don't get mad. Call Northwood Mortgage. Northwood Mortgage takes a closer look at your financial picture, property equity, past record, the promise of performance, and more. Northwood Mortgage does everything they can to approve the mortgage you need. That's their business. Northwood Mortgage. Visit NorthwoodMortgage.com.
We're working harder for you. Do you consider traffic me time?
I mean, isn't it?
Was your last sandcastle made of snow?
It was mostly ice.
Do you think Puerto Plata is an appetizer?
I like it with salsa.
This is your Air Transat flight attendant, and I think you could use our vacation intervention promo.
Vacation?
Save up to $1,000 per couple on 7 packages by going to transat.com or call your Marlin travel professional.
Air Transat. Vacation is calling. Weather forecast you can bank on, because if we're off by more than 3 degrees,
You could win our growing cash jackpot. The 680 News Weather Guarantee. Enter online at 680news.com.
This is 680 News. Australia's wildfires have highlighted a growing global concern over water quality. Forests, grasslands, and other natural areas that supply drinking water to millions of people are increasingly vulnerable to fire as the world temperature continues to increase. More than 60% of the world's waters has coming from 100 largest cities originates in fire-prone watersheds, with countless smaller communities relying on surface water. In the States, the number of troops diagnosed with brain injuries following Iran's missile attack on an Iraqi base has grown again.
Going up,
News
so that's got something to do
official
with
says there
fire.
are now 64 U.S. service members suffering from cases of traumatic brain injury following Iran's missile attack in January on U.S. facilities inside Iraq. But 39 of those U.S. service members have already returned to duty in Iraq. The number of victims has increased steadily since the January 8th attack, as it can take time for symptoms like headaches and dizziness to appear. Louis Martinez, ABC News, The Pentagon.
680 News Time, 1:49. At Queen's Park, the Ford government says the deficit and budget numbers are looking good, but your hydro rates, well, that's a different matter. 680's Mark Douglas has the story.
Our plan is working. Minister of Finance Rod Phillips says the Ontario budget should be balanced by 2023. But for right now, that hydro bill that's waiting for you in your mailbox, it's not lower than it used to be. Phillips says the rate is only being kept steady thanks to putting in some pretty big money to keep it that way.
Forecasting additional funding of $1.6 billion to keep electricity bills stable and protect Ontarians' bills from the mistakes of the past.
NDP energy critic Peter Tabuns says $1.6 billion could be better spent on autism programs or dealing with hallway healthcare.
Having all the money sucked up into reducing hydro bills when you need to deal with the structural problem, the fundamental problems, doesn't make sense for this province.
From Queen's Park, I'm Mark Douglas.
Coming up in just 60 seconds, traffic and weather together on the ones. 680 News Time, 1:50.
Congestion's all cleared up, so if you're on the expressway, your commute should be as easy as switching to RBC.
Switching to RBC is the new easy. So easy that setting up bill payments is as simple as snapping a pic with the RBC mobile app. Open an all-inclusive account by February 27th. They get $300. Conditions apply.
Hey, you almost ready for the party tonight? You bet. Just finishing my run on my Bowflex Max Trainer first. Is that the one you got from TSC? Yeah. Plus, I'm loving my Beats headphones, so I'm going to go for one more song.
Looking well. Looks good on you. Shop tsc.ca.
Hey, you want to grab something to eat on the way to work?
I can do you one better. I've made a smoothies with my new Vitamix blender from TSC and added a dash of Boku Superfood.
Look at us getting all our greens in before breakfast.
Living well. Looks good on you. Shop tsc.ca.
Congestion's all cleared up, so if you're on the expressway, your commute should be as easy as switching to RBC.
Switching to RBC is the new easy. So easy that setting up bill payments is as simple as snapping a pic with the RBC mobile app. Open an all-inclusive account by February 27th. They get $300. Conditions apply.
680 News Time, 1:51, and time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Tim Chapman.
It's pretty smooth drive in and around the GTA this morning. Not seeing really any major issues, just looking up and down the DVP and the 401 and not seeing anything overly concerning. The eastbound 401 is not accessible from Mavis. Both on-ramps are closed. Now, Kipling in the Express, you have one right lane affected by some construction. 400 in the Express, it's two right lanes. When you get through in the Morningside, the two left lanes now affected by road work. And at Brock Street, you just find a touch of road work there. Northbound 400 ramp to eastbound Innisfil Beach Road, as far as I know, is still closed for much earlier collision investigation. And Innisfil Beach Road itself, from the 400 to 10th Side Road, is also closed. And northbound 400 and Highway 7 in the Collectors, all lanes are closed for construction. Southbound 400 at the Langstaff in the Collectors, where all lanes are closed for construction as well. And you can't get onto the southbound 400 from Langstaff or westbound Highway 7. Those on-ramps are closed for road work. Southbound 404 at 16th, you'll find just a touch of road work there. Westbound QEW at Winston Churchill, just some construction off to the left side, but nothing major. Westbound 403 at Mavis, one left lane under construction as well. And there's no access to the southbound 427 from westbound Finch. Your next report is at 2:01. Now the forecast, here's Adam Stiles.
Not seeing much in the way of sunshine during the day today. -1, your daytime high. Looks like a cloudy sky and light wind out of the southeast up to 15 kilometers per hour. So wind chill, not much of a factor as well. About -3 in the afternoon is all. Overnight down to -5. Looks like a mainly cloudy sky. A couple of snow showers possible. During the day tomorrow, it's mainly cloudy. +1 in the forecast. Chance for some evening snow showers here across parts of the GTA. Could see a little bit more accumulation for the north end of the GTA once you get up toward Grey Bruce. 2 to 3 centimeters possible. Should wrap up by Sunday morning. It'll be a cloudy sky there for Super Bowl Sunday or Groundhog Day, depending on what you're looking forward to. Personally, Super Bowl Sunday. 3 degrees in the forecast. Looks like it will be a no shadow type of a day. Today we're heading up to a high temperature of -1.
Right now in downtown
You people are
Toronto,
inventing
overcast
weather terms.
-3 degrees, but feeling like -8 with the wind. And at Pearson Airport, similar conditions, -3, but feeling like -9. Coming up at 2 o'clock, we'll have the latest on the local and world reaction to the coronavirus officially being declared a global state of emergency. 680 News Time, 1:53.
As headmaster of St. Andrews College in Aurora, I'm often asked by parents why our school is right for their son.
The second you enter, you know you're a part of something truly amazing. There are tons of arts and extracurricular activities.
71 teams, 21 sports. There are so many opportunities to become a leader. 100% of our students are accepted to university.
The teachers sincerely care. They push you to do your best.
And I have brothers for life.
Experience for yourself what a St. Andrews College day or boarding program can offer your son. Join us for our open house on February 8th.
Details at sac.on.ca.
Traffic is always changing. Now more than ever. Listen 3, 4, 5 times a day. This is 680 News. Ask for us on your smart speaker.
Toronto firefighters put out a house fire in the Don Mills area last night.
Toronto Fire responded 7:03 this evening to house fire up on Greenland.
That's District Chief Stephen Powell. He tells 680 News the occupants of the home were able to get out safely and the fire was quickly extinguished. No word yet on a cause. And in Hawaii, a telescope has produced its first images of the sun, revealing a turbulent gas surface in what scientists call unprecedented detail. They show the surface covered with bright cell-like areas, each with the size of Texas, that resulted from the transportation of heat from the sun's interior. Further observation will help scientists understand and predict solar activity that can disrupt satellite communication and affect power grids. The telescope is on the island of Maui. You're listening to All News Radio 680 News. Coming up in just 60 seconds, our business report. 680 News Time, 1:55.
Good.
Auf Wiedersehen, arrivederci, ciao, adios. No matter where in the world you or your customers are, you can say goodbye to boundaries thanks to Adyen, the payments platform that supports payments across the globe. From New York to Shanghai, from Singapore to Sao Paulo, reach more customers in more places with Adyen, the payments platform of choice for the world's leading companies. Adyen, business, not boundaries. Learn more at adyen.com. That's ADYEN.com.
Paul Cook and Catherine Chute. Weekday mornings starting at 5:30.
This is 680 News.
The hunt is on. City TV. Lincoln Rhyme, forensic criminologist, obsessed in his pursuit of a diabolical serial killer known only as the Bone Collector, a master criminal who has evaded justice. Based on the series of best-selling novels by Jeffrey Deaver, time is running out to find a nemesis and crack the case that almost killed him. Lincoln Rhyme, Hunt for the Bone Collector. Fridays, 8/7 Central on City TV.
680 News Time, 1:56. Now time for the 680 Business Report with Carl Garnish.
Good morning. The United Kingdom is set to leave the European Union today. Reports claim British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is expected to urge the country to come together in a video message after lots of division over Brexit. Ahead of the exit, the Bank of England left interest rates unchanged and cut GDP forecasts to the lowest level since the global financial crisis. In his final meeting, Central Bank Governor Mark Carney claimed the updated economic projections assume that the UK will move to form a, quote, deep free trade agreement with the EU by the end of the year. They and Wall Street moved in different directions. The TSX was lower for the first time in 3 days, down by 21 points to 17,490. Stateside, it was a 3-day rally for the Dow and NASDAQ. The Dow rose 124 points, 28,859. NASDAQ gaining 23 points, 9,298. S&P added 10 to 3,283. Now time for the Express Gold Refining XAU.ca gold price update. It rose 0.8%, finishing at 1,589. Oil dropped to its lowest level since early August, sinking 2.2%, closing at $52.14 a barrel. Canadian crude index was lower by 3.7% to finish about $33 a barrel. Canadian dollar moved with oil. It was down 0.06 of a cent, closing at 75.71 cents U.S. Economists are watching for November GDP data for Canada, and earnings are expected from Caterpillar, Chevron, and Imperial Oil. With more on what's to come today, here's Bloomberg's Larry Kofsky.
Lots of guacamole will be on the Super Bowl party menu this weekend. The Haas Avocado Board says 75 million pounds of Mexican avocados came into the U.S. last week, 3% more than last year. Already the world's richest person, Amazon's Jeff Bezos added more than $13 billion to his fortune in just 15 minutes last night, after earnings for the holiday quarter crushed expectations. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
At the Business Center, I'm Carl Garnish.
You're catering a wedding, and the bride says,
everyone is raving about the hors d'oeuvres. My aunt was asking if you do corporate events.
You look out across all those guests, your smile beams, your heart pounds. This is the moment when the right business card is essential, and Vistaprint can help. Right now, we're introducing free shipping on all business cards in any quantity. So now imagine that same wedding, but this time, you're ready to own the now with a stack of business cards that are as enticing as your entrees. And Vistaprint caters to any small business. You choose the paper, the shape, and the finish. Go with a square card, or maybe one with rounded corners and a metallic finish. Whatever your style, create a card that gives you the confidence to make the most of every opportunity. Because either you let things happen, or you make things happen. Start now at Vistaprint.ca and get free shipping on all business cards in any quantity. Use promo code 6262 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.ca, promo code 6262. Limited time only.
You'll always be the first to know.
Breaking news when it happens.
680 News.
In Mississauga, partly cloudy, -4 degrees. Oakville,
Some
partly
people
cloudy
do
and
shootings in
-3.
Mississauga.
In
What
the
the fuck?
Brampton,
Why are
partly
you
cloudy,
talking about this
-5
shit?
degrees. Hamilton, overcast and -3. Vaughan, partly cloudy, -5 degrees. And right now in downtown Toronto, overcast, -3, but feeling more like -8 with the wind. City News is CFTR AM Toronto. Listen 3, 4, 5 times a day and always be in the know. You can also find out how to hear us on your smart speaker, phone, or HD radio at 680news.com/listen. 680 News time, 2 o'clock.
Number 1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Good morning. This is Friday, the 31st of January. I'm Asher Roth.
And I'm Eden Tebeba. Here's what's making news this hour.
The World Health Organization has declared the spread of the coronavirus a global health emergency. Over a dozen countries have reported confirmed cases of the illness.
The Trudeau government says Canada will not be making any major changes to its approach to the coronavirus, despite the emergency declaration from the WHO.
It's a step forward after a few steps back. English Catholic school teachers in the province back at contract talks starting next week, but don't expect a walkout to be called off just yet.
While the impeachment trial rolled on in Washington, President Trump was with supporters in Iowa. I'm ABC's Ryan Brew in Des Moines with more on that coming up.
Make it 9 straight victories for the Toronto Raptors, while Kyle Lowry adds another All-Star appearance to his resume. Sports at 15.
Sailing past expectations for the holiday quarter, eyes are expected to be on Amazon's earnings today. North American markets are coming off a mixed session as the UK prepares to part ways with the European Union.
680 News time, 2:01.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones with Toronto's most frequent traffic reports. Here's Tim Chapman.
It's a pretty smooth drive early this morning, not seeing any major volume concerns, more of an accessibility thing on the eastbound 401. Both the Mavis and the Broad Street ramps are completely closed. You won't be able to get on the highway using those. Continuing on the eastbound 401 at Kipling in the Express, it's just one right lane affected by construction. 400 in the Express, it's the 2 right lanes at Morningside. It'll find the 2 left lanes affected by construction as well. And at Broad Street, it's just 1 right lane. The westbound 400, relatively problem-free. Northbound 400, however, at Highway 7 and the Collectors, all lanes are closed due to construction. You're not going to be able to get on the northbound 400 from Highway 7 either. Southbound 400 at Langstaff and the Collectors, all lanes are closed for construction. And there's no access from Langstaff in either direction or westbound Highway 7. Southbound 427 at Burnhamthorpe in the Express, just some construction off to the right side, and that's not accessible from westbound Finch. Your next report's at 2:11. Now the forecast, here's Adam Stiles.
Quiet way to wrap up the work week. Looks like a cloudy sky and a high temperature of -1 in the forecast, and wind that's going to be fairly light. Looks about 5 to 15 kilometers per hour coming in off the lake. Not enough to generate any lake effect snow, and not really enough to mention wind chill, I guess. -3 to -8 during the day. Looks like it'll be a cloudy sky for most of the afternoon. Today, your high near -1.
Right now in downtown Toronto, overcast -3 degrees, but feeling like -8 with the wind. And at Pearson Airport, similar conditions, -3, but feeling more like -7. 680 News time, 2:03.
The ongoing outbreak of the Wuhan coronavirus is now a global health emergency. The World Health Organization making the call as China confirms over 200 deaths and over 9,000 confirmed cases in that country alone.
The changes prompted the U.S. to increase its travel advisory for China, telling Americans currently in that country to leave. And China's foreign ministry has announced it will send charter flights to bring home residents of the Hubei province from overseas. 680's Phil Martino has more.
The Director General of the WHO claims the main reason for this global health emergency declaration is not because of what is happening in China,
but because of what is happening in other countries. Our greatest concern is the potential for the virus to spread to countries with weaker health systems, which are ill-prepared to deal with
countries with the bad health systems are the ones getting all fucked up too.
The WHO issues temporary recommendations. These are measures that can address things like travel, quarantine, and trade. The WHO can also set global standards of practice. There are now over 100 cases of the coronavirus outside of China. I'm Phil Martino.
And the last two Air Canada flights from Beijing and Shanghai have now arrived at Pearson Airport. The airline announced it would not be flying directly to China until at least the end of next month. Mike was arriving from Chicago at around the same time as one of those flights. He tells 680 News it was very crowded near immigration.
So there's a significant delay. I would guess greater than an hour before you even get to immigration.
Air Canada has seen its shares fall by about 10% since authorities confirmed human-to-human transmission of the illness.
Meantime, the airline is also working to dispel travelers' fears as a fake video makes the rounds on social media. Janelle Massa from City News reports from Pearson Airport.
Canada was clarifying some misinformation, debunking rumors that have been spread on social media. This video posted online suggested that a passenger returning to Toronto from Hong Kong was quarantined yesterday because of the coronavirus. Now, Air Canada says that is completely false. They did respond to a medical call on board, but it was not related to the coronavirus. Janelle Massa, City News.
And even with the decision from the WHO, Canadian officials say they will not be making any major changes to their approach when it comes to the novel coronavirus.
We are actually up to date with the recommendations of the World Health Organization.
Federal Health Minister Patty Hajdu says Canada's approach to dealing with the coronavirus will remain steady despite this development, noting we're in compliance when it comes to healthcare research and testing. Chief Public Health Officer Dr. Theresa Tam says the declaration does not mean anyone is more likely to contract the illness.
The risk of spread in Canada remains low.
Meanwhile, the number of Canadians asking to be flown out of the lockdown Wuhan region of China, the epicenter of the outbreak, has grown to 196. At an auto plant in Brampton, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says they're still working on repatriation plans.
In a way, it doesn't enable or allow for even greater propagation of the virus.
At this point, the government can't provide any timelines or say if the passengers will be placed in quarantine when they return. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
You're listening to 680 News at 2:06. Ontario's English Catholic school teachers will be sitting down with the Ford government on Monday in the hopes of ending ongoing labor unrest. However, strike action planned for Tuesday will go ahead as scheduled. Elementary school rotating strike action continues today as well, this time in Peel and in Hamilton. 680's Caitlin Lee has a breakdown of what you can expect in the coming days and weeks from the education front.
Both the president of ETFO and the education minister say the rebooted negotiations have been productive. Electa also now headed back to the bargaining table on Monday, but just because they're talking doesn't mean they've called off planned strikes. A province-wide walkout for English Catholic school teachers is still scheduled for February 4th. On February 6th, there will be a province-wide walkout for ETFO. The only union not sitting down with the Ford government is the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation. President Harvey Bischoff says they have not seen any movement on the big items like staffing levels and e-learning.
They haven't changed any of those things, and so it's hard to imagine how productive things will be at a table at the moment.
Of course, Education Minister Stephen Lecce continues to maintain the real sticking point is compensation. I'm Caitlin Lee.
The opposition, New Democrats, are calling out the Ford government for breaking its promise when it comes to lowering hydro bills. Energy Minister Rod Phillips says the hydro rates are not going to go down, something the government campaigned on, but they will stay the same thanks to a plan to subsidize hydro rates with $1.6 billion. NDP energy critic Peter Tabin says pouring billions into keeping that rate while canceling green energy contracts is not sustainable, and he said that money could be better spent on hospitals or autism programs.
In the next 5 years, it's going to be much, much tougher to subsidize all of this, and that's going to spill over either into programs or higher bills.
Phillips says the PCs are still on track to balance the budget by 2023 and that the current deficit of $9 billion is what they projected.
This is 680 News at 2:08. 4 years after the vote went through, the UK will finally be leaving the European Union. The departure was originally scheduled for last March, but was delayed when MPs rejected an earlier agreement created by former Prime Minister Theresa May. Officials say little will change immediately, as most EU laws will continue to be enforced until the end of December. The UK is set to officially leave the European Union at 6 p.m. or 11 local time.
Meantime, as the impeachment trial goes on in Washington, U.S. President Donald Trump did his best to distract from those proceedings as he rallied in Iowa just days out from the caucus votes.
The goal of Thursday's rally for the Trump campaign? To discredit the Democrats and drum up excitement for the president for the general election.
I worked so hard for this state. I worked so hard.
But on the Democratic side, it's all about winning Monday. Mayor Pete Buttigieg and former Vice President Joe Biden have continued swinging through the state with numerous campaign stops. Senators Warren, Sanders, and Klobuchar won't be able to hit the trail until the weekend after the impeachment proceedings are over. Ryan Burrow, ABC News, Des Moines.
We'll check your gas prices in 30 seconds. 680 News Time 209.
This is your breaking news station, 680 News.
Sometimes just an idea isn't enough to make your dream renovation become a reality. Leverage the equity you have in your home and turn your house into the space you've always dreamed of. Whether it's home renovations, college tuition, or the trip you've always wanted to surprise your family with, now's the time to let your house lend a hand. Whether you need $20, $30, or $300,000, Capital Direct is here to help. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-CAPITAL. .ca.
Now the 680 News gas price update. Info says the price of gas went up a cent at midnight to just under $1.11 a liter. Traffic and weather together next.
There are lots of ways to treat your cold symptoms. You can carry around a spoon and syrup, or try alternative methods. How about those lozenges? Why not drop all that for a different way? Cold drops. Just one drop with a naturally sourced ingredient for temporary symptom relief of cough, sore throat, and nasal congestion.
Relief with just one drop. Cold Drops.
For a retailer near you, visit colddrops.com. This product may not be right for you. Always read and follow the label.
Over 500,000 Canadians are currently living with Alzheimer's disease. How can you help? You can help by creating a team with friends, family, or coworkers and fundraising together for the 30th IG Wealth Management Walk for Memories in support of the Alzheimer's Society.
Wealth management, so all your customers have money, eh? All of them. Wealth management. They don't manage poor people money. They're not poverty mitigation. They're wealth management. Ask them for fucking money.
Together, we walk.
680 News
Make them pay to not
for
run.
traffic and weather together on the lines. How are those roads, Mr. Chapman?
Pretty good, Mr. Roth. No major concerns. This report brought to you by Serpa Motorsports. What you will find on the eastbound 401 at Kipling and the Express is just a bit of construction. The 400 in the Express is construction, but just the two right lanes. And once you get through on the Morningside, it's the two left lanes affected by some road work there. There's also no access to the highway from Brock Street. Northbound 400, not accessible from Highway 7. And at Highway 7, the collectors, all lanes are closed for construction. Southbound 400 at Langstaff and the collectors, all lanes are closed for some road work there. The highway is also not accessible from Langstaff or westbound Highway 7. Southbound 404 at 16th, just a bit of construction, but nothing that's going to slow you down. And that's pretty much the story. Anything that's on the highway that's, there might be a bit of construction there, it's not really going to slow down your time of travel. It's just some accessibility issues like southbound 427, which is not accessible from westbound Finch. And at Finch, just a bit of road work off to the right side. Same thing with Derry in the HOV. That lane is not accessible. Hey, a Yamaha rider, Serpa Motorists features a full model lineup, snowmobiles, wave runners, ATVs, and motorcycles, and more. Serpa Motorsports, Yonge Street in Aurora. Your next report's at 2:21. Now the forecaster's Adam Stiles.
It's a cloudy day to wrap up the work week. Looks like a high temperature today of -1 in the forecast. Will be fairly gray. Winds are going to be fairly light. Out of the southeast up to 15 kilometers per hour is about it. So looks like we'll see wind chill not being much of a factor. Overnight temperatures down to -5. The cloud cover lingers. We could see a few scattered flurries. During the day tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud with a high temperature of +1. Chance for a couple of evening snow showers, but accumulation minimal here in the GTA. Winds shift to the southwest and they pick up. It could gust as high as 40 kilometers per hour. Today, it's a light wind and a high temperature of -1.
Right now in downtown Toronto, it's overcast. It is -3 degrees. It feels like -8 with the wind. Similar conditions right now at Pearson Airport. 680 News Time, 2:13. New developments in Mississauga surrounding 650 Parliament Street, the downtown high-rise that was the scene of an electric fire in August of 2018. The city is taking the building owners to court as they still have not repaid the more than $3.5 million spent to help the 1,500 displaced residents. In the first 2 months after the fire, the city covered the cost of emergency services such as shelter, food, clothing, and transportation. The building's owners are already facing 2 class action lawsuits from tenants. The management company announced earlier this month that residents would be able to return on the first week of March. 680 News Time, 2:14.
Every 3 minutes, a Canadian will be diagnosed with cancer. In February alone, that's over 17,000 people, or enough to fill a hockey arena. Sign up for DriveFeb today and raise funds for people affected by cancer in support of the Canadian Cancer Society. Giving up alcohol for a month might seem tough, but it will help people facing the biggest challenge of their lives. Visit drivefeb.ca and sign up today.
The trust isn't there anymore. It's over.
We had so many.
I know, I can hardly believe it myself.
Wait, our travel rewards points are really...
God, Michael. And they're never coming back.
Switch to RBC Avion and earn points that don't expire, so you can use them whenever you want. And right now, start Avioning and get 35,000 welcome points to go anywhere in Canada or the US. Alaska and Hawaii require more points. Offer ends February 28, 2020. Conditions apply. Visit rbc.com/Avion35.
This is All News Radio. 680 News.
It's got to be the sports. Shots ring out again on Acorn Place in Mississauga. I didn't know shots rang out the first time. So almost exactly 24 hours. So they didn't tell us nothing about this. Almost exactly 24 hours after a drive-by shooting. It was a drive-up shooting. But whatever. Drive-by shooting. Shots rang out again overnight on a Mississauga street. Emergency crews were called to Acorn Place near Hurontario Street and Eglinton Avenue East just before 1 a.m. Thursday. Investigators found shell casings on the road, and witnesses reported seeing a car race away from the scene. A car, that's very specific. Officers located the 2 intended victims crouching in a grassy field, claiming they had been chased by a couple males in a vehicle. Neither of the intended victims were injured. Oh, they do have a description. The vehicle is described as a 4-door, dark-colored Honda Accord. Oh, it's like there's probably literally a million of those. There's probably like 150,000 that are dark-colored. Duty Inspector Sean Brennan said it appears this shooting was random. It's Toronto. The 2 males that were chased are Mississauga residents, but not specific to the Acorn Place area, he explained. It appeared the vehicle spotted them, then the attempted shooting took place at that point. Police have taped off the area and are searching for more clues. Just after 1 a.m. Wednesday, 2 males were sitting in a... They got this thing about 1 a.m., eh? Just after 1 a.m. Wednesday, 2 males were sitting in a car parked on Acorn Place when another vehicle pulled up and a gunman opened fire. Oh, I should have opened that link. Several shots, well, what's the point? They're going to tell us all they're going to tell us. Several shots shattered. It says vehicle classes. I don't know what that means. I think they mean windows or something. And a stray bullet went into an empty apartment nearby. Both intended targets in that shooting were able to flee the car unharmed. No suspect or vehicle description were released in that incident. Police have not said if the 2 shootings are connected. Well, it's be one fucking hell of a coincidence, wouldn't it?
Your kitchen. It's your coffee shop, your family diner, your romantic bistro, and your wine bar. At Tasco Appliances, we understand the many roles your kitchen plays and the contribution that each appliance
We want to
makes
sell
to
you
it.
$50,000 worth
And don't make an investment
appliances.
until you talk to a knowledgeable Tasco Pro. For a short time, save up to 25% when you purchase select appliances from Genair.
Come say hello, Tasco Pro at Tasco.
Visit TascoAppliance.ca.
680 News Time 2:18 to the nation's capital, where police are investigating vandalism at the National Holocaust Memorial. Chris Curries from our affiliate 1310 News is gathering reaction from the Jewish community.
This is unacceptable.
That's President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of Ottawa, Andrea Friedman. She tells me it's disappointing, but the community will pull through.
It's not the first time our community's experienced anti-Semitism, and while the defacement of the memorial is really deeply troubling and offensive, our community is resilient, and we have a good deal of preparedness of how to deal with incidents like this. And the best path forward is one of education.
Friedman says it falls on each and every single person to help everyone understand the horrors of the Holocaust so that it never happens again.
The Ottawa Police Hate Crimes Unit is now investigating the incident. 680 News Time 2:19. Home care should be a safe, reliable service for the most vulnerable in our society. But after the apparent starvation death of a woman with Down syndrome in British Columbia, there are now calls for more monitoring. 680's Ash Kelly is hearing from one expert who doesn't think enforcement is the issue.
Owlett Mansky says people with disabilities need networks of care.
Neighbors, community, circles of friends, mechanisms that involve family and people who love each other, build those into our formal systems. And that's not as easy as it should be.
Mansky is an international consultant on disability supports. He's written entire books on the deadly nature of social isolation. He says at a federal level, there's support for these networks, but at a provincial level,
I would say it's not fast enough.
Kidside Community Services and a 51-year-old woman it contracted are both scheduled to appear in court in March on criminal charges related to the death of Florence Gerard. I'm Ash Kelly.
In 60 seconds, we will have traffic with Tim, weather with Adam, including the extended forecast. 680 News Time 2:20.
Your email checking,
I don't know which one's Tim or which one's Adam. We could just all switch jobs, and I wouldn't even know for sure.
Push like that is on track. You're catching up with the gossip, and finally, catching up with you is on track. Your gazing at the snowy view is definitely on track. Your photo taking, filter choosing, Insta faming, yeah, they're on track. Your green tea sipping, cozy wool sock loving, left, right, lefting, and just getting out of town is on track. You're on track to loving winter travel with Via Rail. Via Rail Canada. Love the way.
Hi, I'm Brian Scudamore from 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Is it too early to do spring cleaning?
We bring the springtime with us, ma'am. Just walk around and point at junk you wish would disappear.
Point? Wow. You really do bring the springtime.
We leave behind happy places and happy faces. We work until midnight, 7 days a week, and we can be there in 90 minutes. All you have to do is point, call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
680 News Time 2:21 with his eye on your drive, Tim Chapman.
Nothing major really to report. All in all, it's a pretty uneventful drive, which is good news as far as traffic is concerned. You're not going to run into any snarl-ups. What you will find is a bit of construction on the eastbound 401 through Kipling in the Express off to the right side. And then once again around the 400 in the Express, it's the two right lanes affected by construction there. Morningside, it's just two left lanes. And at Brock Street, one right lane. There's no access from Brock Street either. Northbound 400. The ramp to eastbound Innisfil Beach Road, that's closed. And there's no access from Highway 7 either. Highway 7 in the collectors, all lanes closed for construction. So that's northbound 400, Highway 7 in the collectors, all lanes closed for construction. Southbound 400 at Langstaff in the collectors, all lanes are closed for construction there. There's also no access from Langstaff or westbound Highway 7. Southbound 427 not accessible from westbound Finch. And at Finch, there's a bit of construction. And at Derry, the HOV lane is under construction as well. Your next sport's at 2:31. Now the forecast, here's Adam Stiles.
Gray Friday on the way with a high temperature today of -1. Winds are going to be fairly light, so not much in the wind chill department, -3 to -8. Looks like it'll be a southeast wind up to about 15 kilometers per hour. A couple of flurries possible throughout the overnight. Down to -5 and a mainly cloudy sky tomorrow. The wind does pick up out of the southwest up to 40 kilometers per hour. We'll hit a high temperature of +1. Chance for some snow showers overnight Saturday into Sunday, where it could just be a trace to maybe a centimeter of accumulation here in the GTA. The cloudy sky expected during the day on Sunday, wind shifting to the northwest. We'll still manage a daytime high of 3 degrees. Today, it's a high temperature of -1 in the forecast with a cloudy afternoon.
Right now in downtown Toronto, we have an overcast sky. It is -3 degrees, and at Pearson Airport, similar conditions. Don't forget, we are the only radio station with a weather guarantee. As of midnight, our jackpot is now $14,000. To sign up for the contest, head to 680news.com.
Welcome back to What's Smarter? Tell us, Ellen, what's smarter? Doing your own plumbing with no qualifications or leasing a redesigned 2020 Honda CR-V LX from just $90 weekly at 4.99% and 0 down at the Honda Drive Smart event.
Oh, it's called the Honda Drive Smart event. So, the Honda!
You're a smarty pants, Ellen! What's Smarter brought to you by Honda, driven to reduce emissions since 1948. Includes rate and fees for 60 months. Taxes extra OACC, HondaOntario.com.
Coming up at 2:30, U.S. officials are advising against all travel to China, while Canadian officials say not much has changed here at home, even as the WHO declares the spread of the coronavirus a global health emergency. At the bottom of the hour, our Phil Martino will have more on why the organization waited until now to make that declaration. And some teachers west of the city will walk the picket lines today, while more students across the GTA will be staying home. Our Caitlin Lee will have more on that coming up. 680 News Time 224.
What's happening in China?
Others may try to do traffic.
But no one does traffic like 680 News.
In the sky, on the ground,
On your radio.
on your phone.
Reports every 10 minutes on the ones. This is 680 News.
It's a great way to save money and try out that one food spot everyone's always talking about. Yes, Winterlicious returns today to the city. Over 200 restaurants are participating, offering 3-course fixed-price menus for lunch and dinner. The popular festival continues until February the 13th. You can purchase tickets by visiting toronto.ca and be quick, those tickets sell out fast. Coming up in 60 seconds, stocks, shares, and Carl Garnish. 680 News Time 225.
There's a reason you look people in the eyes when you shake their hand. A reason you don't like being late for meetings and hate missing deadlines. It's why you put your customers first and pick your partners wisely. Because you know, in business, reputation is everything. Trust your reputation to FedEx for all of your international shipping needs. Express, ground, and freight. Visit FedEx.ca/reason. FedEx, connecting people and possibilities.
If I told you there are as many as 2,000 homeless youth in our city each night, would you care?
What if I told you most of them have suffered from abuse and neglect? Then would you care? What if I told you many feel safer on the streets than they do at home? Now do you care? What if I told you I really need your help?
How young do they need to be before you care? Donate $8 a month to Covenant House Toronto and provide homeless kids with a warm bed, hot meal, and a better future. Visit covenanthousetoronto.ca to donate.
680 News Time 226. Time for the 680 News Business Report. For that, it's Carl Garnish.
Good morning. Fourth quarter results from Amazon are expected to be in the spotlight today. U.S. shares of the e-commerce giant rose more than 10% in the extended session as it soared past earnings and revenue expectations in the holiday quarter. A number of analysts note that the results show the company can invest heavily in next-day delivery without devastating its bottom line. Amazon rose 0.6% in Thursday trading. It was a winning day for Wall Street. The Dow and Nasdaq locked in a 3-day rally. Dow rose 124 points, 28,859. Nasdaq gaining 23 points to 9,298, while the S&P added 10 to 3,283. As for the TSX, it was down by 21 points to 17,490, lower for the first time in 3 days. Now time for the Express Gold Refining XAU.ca gold price update. It rose 0.8%, finishing at 1,589. While oil dropped to its lowest level since early August, sinking 2.2%, closing at $52.14 a barrel. Canadian crude index was also lower by 3.7%, finishing above $33 a barrel. And the Canadian dollar moved with oil down 0.06 of a cent, closing at 75.71 cents US. Canada's November GDP data is expected today, along with earnings from Imperial Oil, Chevron, and Caterpillar. Bloomberg's Larry Kowski has more on what's to come.
Companies trying to safeguard their workers from the coronavirus may find themselves in a bind. Bloomberg Law reports their efforts could clash with laws governing worker safety and disability discrimination. Looks like we've been giving our Visa cards a workout. Last night, the company said it handled more than 49 billion transactions in the fourth quarter, a jump of 11%. But investors are worried about how much Visa is spending on incentives and promotions. Today, Britain leaves the European Union. Brexit happens at 6 o'clock
I'm making
tonight,
enough
Eastern
money to
Time.
advertise.
Larry
What the
Kelsey,
fuck?
Bloomberg Radio.
At the Business Center, I'm Carl Garnish.
Alpine Credits.
My partner and I want to reduce our stress, so we're doing lots of yoga, and we'd like to consolidate our debt.
Do you own your home?
Yes.
Approved.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved so you can reduce your monthly bills and put your chakras in balance. Alpine Credits. Some conditions apply. FSRA license 12616.
People are really talking about Mazda's iActive all-wheel drive, especially Mazda owners. Kathy from Kitchener says,
I always feel safe while driving this vehicle, especially in winter.
Troy from Halifax adds, it's amazing in winter conditions. Right now, you can receive up to a $1,000 iActive all-wheel drive credit on select new models. Plus, Mazda's unlimited mileage warranty. Visit your local Mazda dealer or Mazda.ca today.
Checking the business travelers forecast. If you're headed out to Boston, expect a mostly cloudy sky, 2 degrees today. Washington, D.C., overcast and 5. Chicago, mostly cloudy and 0. Probably windy, too. San Francisco, partly cloudy and 13. Somewhere milder. How about Miami? Humid, mostly cloudy, 24. Right now in downtown Toronto, it's overcast, -3 degrees. It feels like -8 when you factor in the wind. 680 News is CFTR, AM Toronto. Listen 3, 4, 5 times a day and always be in the know. At the double tones, it will be 2:30.
Number 1 for news in Toronto. This is 680 News.
Good morning. This is Friday, January the 31st. I'm Eden Tabala.
And I'm Asher Roth. Here's what's making news right now.
The World Health Organization stresses this is the time for facts, not fear, after declaring the spread of the coronavirus a global health emergency.
The emergency declaration from the WHO will not be prompting any major changes to Canada's approach to the coronavirus. The feds are still working on plans to fly 196 Canadians out of China.
They aren't being bullied.
Unofficial
I sincerely
status.
hope that this help and doesn't hurt their negotiations. Teachers from several unions come together to send a message to the province.
The man accused in the North York van attack will be in court today.
The Raptors continue their winning ways in Cleveland, while Kyle Lowry's an NBA All-Star yet again. Sports at 45.
Earnings action continues with fourth quarter results from Imperial Oil expected to be in focus today. Economists are preparing for Brexit and Canadian GDP data as Bay and Wall Street come off a mixed session.
680 News Time, 2:31.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Tim Chapman.
This report brought to you by Alterna Savings. So all in all, a pretty volume-free drive early this Friday morning. One thing to note here, eastbound 401, not accessible from Brock Street. Not a major deal either. Everything else, Kipling on the Express, one right lane at 400 in the Express. You got the 2 right lanes affected by construction there. Morningside, it's the 2 left lanes, and at Brock Street, it's just a 1 right lane. Northbound 400, that ramp to eastbound Innisfil Beach Road is closed for much earlier collision investigation. And both Highway 7 ramps to the northbound 400 are closed as well. And Highway 7 in the collectors, all lanes are closed for construction. So that's northbound 400 and Highway 7 in the collectors, all lanes are closed for construction. Southbound 400 at Langstaff in the collectors, all lanes closed for construction there as well. And both Langstaff on-ramps to the southbound 400 are closed. Same thing with the westbound Highway 7 ramp. There's no access to the southbound 400. Westbound 43 at Mavis, you'll find a bit of construction off to the left side, but nothing major. Eastbound QEW at Winston Churchill, 2 left lanes under construction as well. Southbound 427, a little bit of construction through Burnham Thorpe in the Express. Westbound Finch ramp to the southbound 427 is also closed. Saving for retirement, it doesn't have to be scary. Talk to an advisor at Alterna Savings about the best plan for you. Visit alterna.ca to book an appointment. Alterna Savings, discover the good in banking. Your next report is at 2:41. Now the forecast, here's Adam Stiles.
Quiet way to wrap up the work week. Looks like a cloudy sky and a high temperature of -1 in the forecast, and wind that's going to be fairly light. Looks about 5 to 15 kilometers per hour coming in off the lake. Not enough to generate any lake effect snow, and not really enough to mention wind chill, I guess. -3 to -8 during the day.
Yes,
Looks like it'll be a cloudy sky for most of the afternoon. Today, your high
today?
near -1.
Right now downtown, it's overcast and -3. It feels like -8. And at Pearson Airport, similar conditions, but it feels like -7. 680 News Time, 2:33.
The U.S. State Department is warning against all travel to China, advising Americans to leave as soon as possible. This as the World Health Organization declares the coronavirus a global health emergency.
We will have more on Canada's reaction in just a few moments, but first, 680's Phil Martino has more on the pandemic, which has killed over 200 people and infected almost 9,000 in China alone.
The WHO says the main reason for this global health emergency declaration is because of what is happening in other countries outside of China. The organization's director general claims their biggest concern is the potential for the coronavirus to spread to countries with weaker health systems, which are ill-prepared to deal with it.
Let me be clear. This declaration is not a vote of no confidence in China.
With a global health emergency, the WHO issues temporary recommendations. These measures address everything from travel to quarantine. The U.S. State Department is now advising against all travel to China because of the outbreak of the virus. The WHO says this is the time for facts, not fear. 99% of the cases are in China, and there are no deaths outside that country. I'm Phil Martino.
Meantime, the federal government is reacting to the health emergency declaration as it tries to help dozens of Canadians escape the epicenter of the outbreak in Wuhan.
This declaration is a major development in this outbreak, but Federal Health Minister Patty Hajdu says Canada is not planning to make any major changes to our efforts.
We are fully in line with the recommendations of the World Health Organization.
Canada already has the necessary preparations, research, testing, and health systems in place. Our Chief Public Health Officer, Dr. Teresa Tam, says the public is not in any increased danger.
While the outbreak has now been declared a global public health emergency, the risk of spread in Canada remains low.
Meanwhile, there are now 196 Canadians under lockdown in the Wuhan region of China asking to be flown home. The minister says repatriation plans are not final yet, so she can't say if there will be any screening before passengers leave or if there will be quarantine procedures when they arrive. The opposition says these passengers need to be isolated. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
They are isolated.
2:35. Ontario's English Catholic teachers are set to sit back down with the Ford government on Monday, but don't hold your breath about that one-day walkout plan for the following day. As 680's Caitlin Lee explains, Tuesday's strike is just one of many scheduled next week from various boards right across Ontario.
It's the first step, but province-wide walkouts still planned February 4th. Talks also reportedly productive on the second day of rebooted negotiations between Ontario's public elementary school teachers and the government. But there are rotating strikes still scheduled for them, as well as a province-wide walkout February 6th. The only union not invited back to contract talks, the one representing high school teachers. OSSDF President Harvey Bischoff says he hasn't seen the province budge one bit.
We have, though, said we would postpone our strikes if the minister would simply commit to last year's education worker and teacher staffing levels.
A group of teachers from 3 unions fired back at the province on Thursday for anti-union talks, stressing the real issues are things like class sizes and e-learning and not compensation. I'm Caitlin Lee.
Right.
Meantime, English public elementary school teachers and students in Kill Region and Hamilton will be staying home today as the teachers walk the picket lines for the latest round of rotating strikes by the EFTO. And in York and Halton regions, all students will be staying home across all school boards, but not because of job action. It's just a PA day.
680 News Time 2:36. The trial is now underway for the man accused in the sexual assault and murder of Tess Ritchie. Pam Cedal of City News has more.
Flowers were laid where Tess Ritchie's body was found the day before her 23rd birthday on November 29, 2017. She was found crumpled in a heap at the bottom of a stairway in a construction site in the heart of the gay village by her mother 4 days after she was reported missing. Kaylin Schlater was arrested 2 months later. Crown Beverly Richards told the jury they will hear testimony from witnesses, forensic experts, and view exhibits such as photographs and extensive video surveillance footage. Toronto police came under fire for their handling of this case and failure to find Tess Ritchie days after she was reported missing. 2 officers have been charged with misconduct in connection to Ritchie's disappearance. The trial is expected to last 6 weeks. I'm Pam Cedal for City News.
This is 680 News at 2:37. The man accused in the North York van attack will make another court appearance today as lawyers continue to confirm a trial date. Alec Massian has admitted to police in a videotaped statement that he was responsible for driving a rental van down a portion of Yonge Street between Finch and Shepherd in April of 2018, killing 10 people and injuring 16 others. His lawyers plan to argue that he's not criminally responsible. During Minassian's latest appearance just over 2 weeks ago, the judge was told the Crown had received hospital records it was seeking. They're now expected to provide an update later today. The judge-alone trial is tentatively scheduled to begin in early March.
And nearly 4 years after the referendum result that shocked the world, the United Kingdom will officially put an end to a 47-year partnership and exit the European Union later today. After years of a legal tug-of-war and the resignation of British Prime Ministers David Cameron and Theresa May, former London Mayor Boris Johnson won the Conservative Party leadership and was eventually able to get a departure deal through Parliament after winning December's general election. Officials say most EU laws will continue to be enforced during a period of transition, which includes the free movement of people between Britain and the rest of Europe. The UK officially leaves the EU at 11 p.m. local time. That's 6 p.m. Eastern. Johnson is expected to deliver a speech 1 hour prior.
Still to come on 680 News, the gas price update followed by traffic and weather together on the ones. 680 News time, 2:39.
You're all bundled up.
Yeah, well, it is minus 17,700.
No way that's right.
Says right here, get 25% off MSRP for up to $17,700 in total discounts on select Ram 1500 classic models. Plus, we make no payments for 90 days.
Oh, I see. Minus 17,700.
There you go.
I'll grab my coat.
I can't believe that worked.
It's the Ram 4x4 winter event. See dealer for details.
Now the 680 News gas price update. Ambrose says the price of gas rose 1 cent